Hello everyone, this is Ben. Today we're going to talk about the Orlando shooting, the recent shooting. And I think there's really just two questions on everyone's mind. The fundamental question, is Islam a religion of peace? Yes or no? And should we have gun rights? Blah, blah, blah. So we'll take Islam first. Islam means to make peace with God. It means to submit to God. But there's a problem with the idea of Islam being a religion of peace. Now, everyone will say it's not all Muslims that are in ISIS or ISIS supporters. That's true. It's just like 20 million people that are big ISIS supporters in countries around the world. But it's nowhere near all Muslims. All Muslims is like 2,000 times that many people or something, or 1,000 times. But so the thing is, you can it's hard to refute what ISIS is doing on the basis of the Quran. You can do it, but it's more difficult. And people say, well, you can find bad stuff in any religion. Well, that's the most atheist thing I've ever heard. I heard a kid the other day tell me that, and he's like, a kid who goes to church is like, well, if you think you can find bad stuff in every religion, why do you go to church? I don't know, but not in the Bible. I dare you to give me something wrong where the Bible teaches an evil thing. I've got a playlist with probably whatever you just thought up is already on the Defending the Bible playlist. And I've got other videos that need to be uploaded to that playlist, but I'm doing other things. So please shoot it at me. Now, the Quran gets twisted and perverted by people who want to attack it too. Although it does have some bad stuff in there. It does. But it gets twisted and misaligned and perverted so that people can make it look worse than it is, just like they do with the Bible. And they do that. I won't go there right now. But anyway, the Quran, like people, for example, will say that, the Quran says go kill people. It doesn't say that. And it's not just the Quran, it's the Hadith, and it gets complicated. We won't go into all that. But Muhammad said that when you meet a new people, you go and read to them the words of the book, the Quran, and they will convert. If they don't convert, that means that they're horrible, despicable people, and that they'll eventually try to kill you. And so the Quran is very clear. You have the good people, who are the Muslim people, and the bad people, who are the servants of the shaitan and all that. That they see, those are the two people in the world. They see themselves as the only peaceful people in the world who are under attack, because anyone who's not a Muslim must be a horrible, despicable person. They don't see a difference between being a Muslim person and being a good person. That's the same thing. There is no non-Muslim good person. That's a struggle. So Muhammad says that, and if they don't convert, they will attack you. And then he goes for page after page after page after page after page after page about how you won't lose. So this creates a problem, because on September 11th, 1689, the Muslim forces of the world made the big attempt to conquer the Christian nations of Europe, and they lost. And so why do you think they bombed New York City on September 11th? Because for them, they can't have lost. That didn't happen. The fight still, there was just one moment in the fight. It's not over yet. And for the first 100 years after Muhammad, they kind of didn't lose until 732 AD. And then they lost. And it took the wind out of their sails for almost 100 years or something. But here's the thing. That creates an environment where a young Muslim man, believes that his people are the only good people in the world. And the fight's not over. And here's America. And America is we're going to have bases in the Middle East, because we defend the Sunni nations that have all the oil. We defend them from their enemies. Their primary enemies, the Shia nations that want to take their oil. And so a lot of young people will feel like they're being attacked, and can get signed into these groups like ISIS. And then ISIS definitely does some things they allow sex slaves, but it's not so clear that Muhammad allowed that. Sexual slavery. He allowed you to take slaves from people you conquered, but the idea from Muhammad's point of view was that you were rescuing them from their infidel masters. You were rescuing them from what was probably rape, from Muhammad's point of view. Now Muhammad did go into great length about the pull-out method. I don't know what the deal is with that, but he talks about it over and over and over and over and over again. And he did have a 14-year-old bride, and multiple wives are a thing, but the Quran is not as bad as people say. So like, oh, well, the Quran does say you're supposed to execute gay people. Yes, but not in the way that this guy in Orlando did. There's supposed to be a trial and like an investigation and like, just run to a gay bar and just start shooting. So the Quran does get twisted. That was creepy. I heard noise. That was my roommate. Anyway, so there's some other stuff in there that's kind of weird, like apostasy, which is when a person who is either born into a Muslim family or leaves the Muslim faith after converting to it. The punishment, from what Muhammad says, you're supposed to execute that person. Although they typically don't do it. Although in some cases people flee Muslim countries for their life because they've converted to Christianity, typically through a dream they had about Jesus. But the point is, that's a point of real criticism for Islam. Kill people, for leaving the Muslim faith. I mean, you don't really have to bring up much else than that. That's an issue. But that doesn't say like, they're supposed to run into gay bars and kill everyone. It doesn't say that. It doesn't. I wouldn't say that it says take sex slaves, even though ISIS is telling everyone who signs up they can take sex slaves. So anyway, gun rights. Okay, so let's imagine a totalitarian government, the perfect government that has it's completely totalitarian, but it's also perfect. So all the laws that it makes are awesome, but it makes a law for every single thing you do. They take every power of government to make laws about you having the right thoughts, saying the right things. Think Demolition Man. Okay. And let's imagine that in this hypothetical world, all of the people are horribly, despicably evil. Will there be any peace and safety in this world, in this nation? Nope. The government cannot act as a substitute for common morality of the people. It cannot. It cannot. It is a band-aid solution to what is really needed in society, is for people to be good without laws that threaten them in case they do something bad. So what we need is a world where everyone has a nuclear bomb in their backyard, but no one needs one because we all feel perfectly safe and don't even lock our doors. That's the perfect world, right? Something close to it, right? That's the world we're looking for. The problem is that's not the real world. Even the staunchest NRA guy is not going to say everyone should have a nuke in their backyard where they can blow up the world or blow up China or something. That's not the world we live in. We don't live in a world where we have that level of safety and trust. But even though we have these mass shootings, there are still a ton of people with a ton of guns in America who don't shoot anyone. And that's something that needs to be thought about. So my point is, think of raising a teenager. What do? You give the teenager freedoms. You give them a car. You give them, when they're younger, you give them a cell phone, right? And they do dumb stuff with their freedoms. And you might have to put them on restriction, take some stuff back away. But the goal is for them to grow up. You give them freedom in a controlled environment. Some freedom, not total freedom. They make some mistakes, but eventually they get better and they start handling it pretty well. And then you move them to more freedoms. And more mistakes. More struggle. Okay, so my point is if we take away the gun freedoms that Americans have right now, that is a step backwards. And we don't need to take that step backwards until it's clear that the people of America are really not handling that freedom well. One Muslim guy in one bar is not really a justification to take away everyone's gun for all the people. In some nations, they have taken away guns, and maybe that's what they needed in that nation. If people really were that irresponsible with their guns. But the goal is to move forward towards more freedom, towards more responsibility of the people. So I would say do everything you can to keep the freedoms that we have where they are. But I wouldn't advocate just giving people, every gun on the planet, every possible weapon on the planet. But we need to be making a step every chance we can. If we say, yeah, they're handling this freedom responsibly and well, give them some more. Give them some more. And so government coming in and making laws to take away this and take away that, that's a band-aid solution to the real problem that's in here. That's where the real problem is. And no amount of government laws taking away this, taking away that, can really fix this. So that's the real issue. We need to think about, are the people, what are they going to do? So I guess to sum it up, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. And thank you to my friend who suggested that I do a video on a current event like this. I struggle with video ideas because I got too many things in my mind, and I don't even think about current events. I don't even have cable. But I think gun laws in America should stay where they are. Maybe take a little bit away if we see overall statistics, not one shooting, but overall statistics that we're not handling them well. But the goal in the long term should be towards more freedoms, towards a people who can be trusted more. That's what we want to see, a world where we don't have to lock our doors. In other countries, maybe it is, they haven't had guns for a long time. We shouldn't just say, give them American level freedoms. Maybe they should be given a little more than what they have now, if they're doing fairly well with what they have now, but not necessarily just put them where we are. So this point I'm making applies to a lot of things. Drug laws. We would like to see a nation that doesn't have to have any drug laws, where people know on their own what they should and should not put in their body. You don't have to have a law that says, don't eat dirt. For the most part, people know they shouldn't eat dirt. There's no law necessary. And if people were all around the country were just eating dirt, then no amount of laws would fix us. And so, essentially, that's what drugs are. In a lot of cases, just dirt that we don't need to eat. But we're not handling them so well. If we are handling some of them well, then legalize maybe some of them. But the idea is that the people need to be responsible for what they do on their own, without the nobles and the Callipolis philosopher kings telling them what to do. We need a nation of people who can be trusted. We don't have to lock our doors. I hope this video makes sense. There's so much more I could say, but we will adieu right there. Thank you, thank you, thank you.